On the last day of summer, 10 hours before fall, my grandfather took me out to the wall. For a while he stood silent, then finally he said, with a very sad shake of his very old head, "And as you know, on this side of the wall, we are Yooks. On the far side of the wall live the Zooks." Then my grandfather said, "It's high time that you know of the terrible, horrible thing that Zooks do. In every Zook town, in every Zook house, every Zook eats his bread with the butter side down. But we Yooks, as you know, when we breakfast or sup, spread our butter," grandfather said, "with the butter side up." "That's the right honest way," grandfather grinned his teeth. "So you can't trust a Zook who spreads underneath. Every Zook must be watched, he has kinks in his soul. That's why as a youngs I made watching my goal. Watching Zooks for Zook watching border patrol."
In those days, of course, the wall wasn't so high. I could look any Zook square in the eye. If he dared to come close, I'd give him a twitch with my tough tootin' prickle snary berry switch. For a while, that worked fine. All the Zooks stayed away. Our country was safe. Till one terrible day, a very rude Zook by the name of Van Itch snuck up and slingshotted my snakeberry switch. For broken off switch, my head hung in shame. To the chief Yuckaroo, in great sorrow I came. But our leader just smiled. He said, "You're not to blame, and those Zooks will be sorry they started this game. We'll dress you right up with the fanciest suit. We'll give you the fanciest slingshot to shoot. And you're the boys in the back room to figure how to build me some sort of triple sling jigger." With a triple sling jigger, I sure felt much bigger.
I marched up to the wall with great vim and vigor, right up to Van Itch with my hand on the trigger. "I'll have no more nonsense," I said with a frown, "from Zooks who eat bread with the butter side down." Van Itch looked quite sickly. He ran off quite quickly. I'm unhappy to say he came back the next day in a spiffy new suit with a big new machine, and he snarled as he said, looking frightfully mean, "You may fling those hard rocks with your triple sling jigger, but I also have my hand on the trigger. My wonderful weapon, the jigger rock snatch 'em. We'll fling 'em right back just as quick as we catch 'em. We'll have no more nonsense, we'll take no more gup from you Yooks who eat bread with the butter side up." "I have failed, sir," I sobbed as I made my report to the chief Yuckaroo and the headquarters fort. He just laughed. "You've done nothing at all of the sort. Our slingshots have failed. That was the old-fashioned stuff. Slingshots, dear boy, are not modern enough. All we need is some new-fangled kind of gun. My boys in the back room have already begun to think about walloping with Zinger 1. My bright boys are thinking they're on the right track. They'll think up a quick one, and we'll send you right back." They thought up a great one, they certainly did. They thought up a gun called the Kickapoo Kid, which they loaded with powerful poo-a-doo patter and ants' eggs and bees' legs and dried fried clam chowder. And they carefully trained a real smart dog named Daniel to serve our country's first gun-toting spaniel. Then Daniel the Kickapoo Spaniel and I marched back toward the wall with our heads held up high, while everyone cheered. Their cheers filled the sky. "Fight, fight for the butter side up, do or die." Well, we didn't do, and we didn't quite die, but we sure did get worsted, poor Daniel and I. Van H was there too, and he said, "The old pig, the boys in my back room has invented this rig, called the 8-nozzled elephant tied in blue lids. It shoots high explosive sour cherry stone pits, and will put your dumb Kickapoo Kid on the fritz." Poor Daniel and I were scared out of our wits. Once again by Van Itch I was bested and beat. Once again I limped home from the wall in defeat. I dragged and I sagged and my spirits were low as I thought they ever could go. when I heard a boom-bat and a diddle-dee-dill, and our butter-up band marched up over the hill. The chief Yugaroo had sent them to meet me, along with the right side up songgirls to greet me. They sang, "Oh, be faithful, believe in thy butter," and they lifted my spirit right out of the gutter. "My boy," smiled the chief Yugaroo, "we've just voted and made you a general. You've been promoted. Your pretty new uniform's ready. Get in it. The big one is coming. You're going to begin it. And what's more, this time you are certain to win it. My boys in the back room have finally found how. Just wait till you see what they've puttered up now. In their great new machine, you'll fly over that wall and clobber those butter down Zooks, one and all." Those boys in the back room sure knew how to putter. They made me a thing called the utterly sputter, and I jumped aboard with my heart all aflutter and steered toward the land of upside-down butter. This machine was so modern, so frightfully new, no one knew quite exactly what it would do.
But it had several faucets that sprinkled blue goo, which somehow would sprinkle the Zooks as I flew, and gum up that upside-down butter they chew. I was racing pell-mell when I heard a voice yell, "If you sprinkle a Zooks, you'll get sprinkled as well." Then it tried butter exactly like mine, and he yelled, "My blue gooer is working just fine." And I am here to say that if Yucks can goo Zooks, you'd better forget it, 'cause Zooks can goo Yucks. I flew right back home, and as you may have guessed, I was downright despondent, disturbed, and depressed, and I saw just as soon as I stepped back on land, so were all of the girls of the butter-up band. The chief drum majorette, Ms. Yuki and Sue, said that was a pretty sore flight that you flew, and the chief Yugaroo has been looking for you. I raced to his office. The place was a sight. "Have no fear," said the chief. "Everything is all right. My bright backroom boys have been brighter than bright. They've thought up a gadget that's newer than new. It is filled with mysterious malakamoo, and it can blow all those Zooks clear to Swamagoo. They've invented the Bisty Big Boomeroo."
You just run to the wall like a nice little man. Drop this bomb on the Zooks just as fast as you can. I've ordered all Yucks to stay safe underground while the Bitsy Big Boy Boomeroo is around. As I raced for that wall with the bomb in my hand, I noticed that every last Yuck in our land was obeying our chief Yugaroo's grim command. They were all bravely marching with banners of flutter down a hole for their country and right side up butter. That's when Grandfather found me. He grabbed me. He said, "You shouldn't be down that hole, and you're up here instead." But perhaps this is all for the better somehow. You will see me make history right here and right now. Grandpa leapt up that wall with a lopulous leap, and he cleared his hoarse throat with a bopulous beep. He screamed, "Here's the end of that terrible town, full of Zooks we bred with the butter side down." And at that very instant, we heard a clup-clup of feet on the wall, and old Van Itch clumped up. The boys in his back room had made him one too, and his fist was another big boy Boomeroo. "I'll blow you," he yelled, "into pork and wee beans. I'll butter side up you to small smithereens." "Grandpa," I shouted, "be careful. Oh, gee. Who's going to drop it? Will you or will he?" "Be patient," said Grandpa. "We'll see. We will see."